Welcome to this episode of LabRat Scientific. Now, one of the basic elements of LabRat is to utilize home-built equipment to do demonstrations and experiments. Equipment might include wooden carts to demonstrate Newton's laws, or maybe it's visual aids to help drive home a concept, or maybe grid backdrops to help out with data collection during experiments. Maybe it's building pulleys and pulley blocks, or even experimental equipment that can be used for the experiments. Now, if you have a carpentry shop at school, they can build all this stuff for you. But if you don't worry. All this equipment can be built with the most basic power tools. So let's go ahead and look at the power tools I use to make this equipment.
This is a radial saw. It's used for cutting sheet material such as plywood or cutting off 2x4s. This is a jigsaw. It's used for cutting thinner materials in complex shapes. This is a belt sander. It's used for smoothing wood and rounding off edges. This is a battery-operated power drill and associated paddle bits, drill bits, and hole saws. Paddle bits are made for making medium-sized holes. Holes are too big for drill bits and too small for hole saws. Hole saws are excellent tools for making round objects such as the wheels to this cart. You will also need an assortment of screwdrivers, primarily slotted screwdrivers and Phillips head screwdrivers. An assortment of wrenches and pliers will come in handy as well. I think you'll find out quickly that you'll never have enough clamps. You will also need safety goggles or safety glasses to protect your eyes during woodworking. Okay, let's see the radial saw in action. As I cut a piece of plywood here. Got my safety glasses on, and I'm ready for the cut. Okay, let's check out the jigsaw in action now. I want to round off the corner of this plywood I just cut with a radial saw. And it's as simple as that. A nice rounded corner now. Now let's see the paddle bit in action. Get a nice sized hole using the paddle bit. Okay, so now let's take a look at the hole saw. You can see the teeth. Just have it on my hand drill. Got a piece of thin plywood attached to a 2x4 so I don't drill into my table. And now I'll cut through. It can be rather noisy, but you just essentially do that and you'll end up with a nice disc that can be sanded a little bit and you'll have a real good cartwheel. Again, these hole saws come in different sizes and they're interchangeable, so you make all sorts of different diameter discs and large holes.
Like I said, those basic tools are sufficient to build the equipment I use here in the lab. However, there are some more sophisticated tools I like to use to make my job just a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and take a look at those.
Here are some of my slightly more advanced tools. A power miter saw, a disc and belt sander, and a grinder. I also have a small drill press and a small prototype lathe. All these more advanced tools make building equipment a little bit easier.
You also need an assortment of nuts, bolts, screws, string, wire, and things like that to round out your workshop. But you don't have to be an expert carpenter to build this equipment. And I think if you use home-built equipment in a classroom, it's really beneficial to the students and they'll see that they can do some of the things on their own. Well, that will do it for this episode. Hope to see you next time on LabRat Scientific.